Hello, Alex. Can you hear me?
Hello, Judith. Yes, I can. Yes, fantastic.
Oh, really good, isn't it? Very
Really
good.
good. Good start. How
Yes.
are you?
Very well, thank you.
Marvelous. Marvelous.
Well, may I just say how fantastic it is you're doing this piece? And I'm so sorry. I'm terribly busy. Otherwise, I would have come to Nottingham to hear it because I would have loved to have been there. So sorry about
Oh, oh no, not at all. No, it's don't worry about it.
Yeah,
It's terrific fun. We've had a lot of fun rehearsing it so far. It's great.
great. And I take it you're doing the version with the piano and percussion, is that right? Or what are you
No, we're
doing?
doing the full orchestral version.
Good God, that's amazing. I'm amazed. Now I really am sad that I'm not there because that is a rarity, I can tell you. How amazing. Gosh,
That'd be great.
I
Hello,
really
Rachel.
enjoy it. Hello.
Hi, hello, Judith. Hi,
Hello.
Alex.
Fantastic. Well, I'm just saying how sad I am I can't join you on Saturday. It's incredible what you're doing now, even more incredible than I thought, actually. So,
Um, so first of all, just wanted to ask about the text for the piece for
yes.
Stars Night Music and Light. Um, was that your choice, or were you sort of given the text and told, come up with some brilliant music for it, or how did that work?
Well, what I was told was the then controller of the proms was Roger Wright, and he said, "I don't care what you write as long as it's loud," because it was the beginning of the whole proms season in 2011. So indeed, I had to find some words, and it was agreed that this would just be a very quick, starting piece, 3 minutes or four. So I just needed a few lines. So these words, I found myself. They're from the poet George Herbert, 17th century poet, but someone I've set a lot of his music. It's so beautiful, full of wonderful images, and certainly in this case.
Hmm. Yeah, it's super. Really, really good. The line about music and like attending our head is, I thought, it was a very nice way of putting, literally, rather than sort of coming to you or sort of coming from you.
Yes,
Attending was quite a
yes.
nice way of.
And I also thought, as most people hear the proms, or a lot do, on the radio rather than going there, that idea of it being kind of around your head like headphones sort of thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, literally being
so
beamed in. Yeah.
yeah, kind of interesting 17th century way of thinking about that.
Yeah.
That must have been such an experience witnessing that, opening the proms. I mean, it's such a amazing season, isn't it? That we're so proud of it. But, the first thing that everybody heard, I bet that was fabulous.
I have to tell you, sadly, I wasn't there because I had written a new opera for an opera house in Austria, Bregenz. And so if there was anything just slightly more important, it was the first night of my new opera. So I don't think I'm able to, it was a bit before the amazing streaming we have now. I don't think I was able to listen to it live, but I will say quite legally on YouTube now, there is a little film of that occasion. And so in a way, I've been able to live it many times, but I agree, it would have been fantastic if I'd been there.
Oh, yeah. It's quite interesting that you were told to write something loud, which is always a nice way to start a concert. It's interesting because there's a lot of sort of fanfaric writing in it, but it's still quite lyrical and quite broad and open. The fanfare bits sort of fit inside of the more lyrical stuff, which I think is, I've never really heard anybody approach writing a sort of opening to a concert like that. I think it was really, really special, but actually.
I
Yeah.
think we have to thank the BBC as usual for giving the composers the space to do these things. But I also think it's a little bit like a hymn or an anthem, that
Mm.
it's got this big wide song which is just repeated several times. Yes, so that I wanted there to be a feeling of peace and joy and all that just at the very outset.
Yeah.
It,
And,
I was just going to say, it's lovely as a singer. It's a lovely piece to open a concert with because it
Mm.
it doesn't it almost allows you to warm up with the piece. It starts nice and low in the middle, and it just gradually, it's like an expansion of, warm-up exercises almost. It's far more refined than that, but that's a really nice way it feels as a singer.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that. And I think at the back of my mind, I also thought of that the performers must have nerves, particularly before a televised radio concert series like the Proms. And of course, a lot of them, like your members, are volunteer singers, the BBC Symphony Chorus. They're not professionals. And so I wanted everybody to have a good enough time with this piece, not starting an event like this with too many nerves, because that, for singers, that's really serious. So I'm so glad that you feel that way about it. Yeah. I think a lot of the classical music we hear, going back to Haydn and Mozart, there's often a bit of loud stuff right at the beginning. And I truly think now that was to shut people up and, in the audience and allow people just to get their instruments up to their lips. I was reminded of that in events like the coronation, where they were packed with people all chatting away. You need to make these gestures at the beginning of a piece.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when you're writing, as we were talking about how sort of nice for the singers you write, when you're writing things, do you specifically think about, do you sing it when you're writing it, or how do you think about approaching writing for singers? Because we were just saying before that it's so nice to sing as a professional, but also as an amateur as well. It's so nice to come at it. It's really nice to sing. So how do you think about it?
That is good to know. I really am not a singer. In my student and school days, I played the oboe, so I always would have been in the orchestra, and that's really how I learned a lot of the repertory, including the choral repertory, with the local choral society and so on. So I'm no singer, and in fact, I constantly have to ask, particularly solo singers, is this high, low for your voice? And of course, everybody has different opinions. So once again, I'm rather cheered up to hear you say that it's very singable. I do nevertheless sing through the music that I write. That's more from a breath point of view. I think that's where my life as an oboe player also comes in. And I do think sometimes when I've been teaching, it's the point I have to make to some, student composers just about this most basic facility which we all need, which is being able to breathe in. And you guys know this, breathe out. That's the big one, isn't it? Get rid of that old air.
Very good. Is there anything else you wanted to say, perhaps about the piece in general, how it fits in, perhaps with the kind of music you were writing at the time, and that sort of thing from a historical perspective? Because it's quite a long time ago now, of course, isn't it? 2011.
Well, we've sort of covered this, that I wrote it at the end of having written a big opera, so probably just doing that opera for a couple of years. So there was a sense of just doing it quite quickly and easily, because we've said this also, in a way, it's quite a simple piece. It has a kind of hymn-like theme, and then it has a big orchestra, but you've got so much orchestra, it's not a question of being economical. I should say, by the way, in this same concert, they played the Janacek Sinfonietta, which I think has got 10 trumpets in it. So, so I was not thinking, oh, will there be enough trumpets? Of questions for this piece.
Well, I was thinking about that thing as regards the timpani as well, having 3 players. I mean, that's exactly. Been spoiled for choice.
So, it in that sense, it was quite a pleasure to write. I think for me, this has been quite a forward-looking piece in my own style, because in the last 10 years, I've had this appointment with Master of the Queen's and now King's Music, which I'll be ending in the summer. And a lot of the jobs that have come to me have been a bit like this. They've been writing a 3-minute choral piece for a big occasion, and the big thing I've learned, of course, is that there's often no rehearsal time for some of these occasions. So you must write a piece that sort of performs itself. And I think this piece, Stars Night, Music and Light, is the beginning of a new way of working for me. And I'm so glad I had the chance to do it. You know, you like to think that your new things, you won't be quite so exposed as a huge opening of the Proms concert, but I think the work I've done since has has grown out of what I did in this piece. So in that way, it's, if I say historically, but in terms of my history, it's rather important, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I really agree. I was lucky enough to sing one of your pieces, Judith, in Land of Us, out in America with the Yale
Really?
Scholar.
Well,
Yeah.
that's fascinating. So were you in that choir? How did that come about?
My husband, there's more story than you need to know. My husband had a job at Yale. He's an academic. He's a medievalist, and so we moved out there in 2014, I think. And obviously David was there, and I couldn't work at the time, but eventually I started working in the Scholar performance office, so sorting out all the concerts and things. So I do remember you coming out, but they would very kindly ask me to go and deputise in the choir for certain terms, and I remember that was one that I did.
Wow!
It was absolutely wonderful piece to sing, and actually, although it sounds complex and it's exciting and innovative and has lots of different things going on in it, lots of different sounds that appeal and make you think, wow, this is, where's this coming from? But actually, again, I found the choral lines to be so lyrical and singable. And again, when you don't have an awful lot of time to prepare sometimes, I really enjoyed that and appreciated that about your music. And I think one of the nice things for us being, like you say, we're a community organization. This isn't a regular rehearsing group. They've come together for a weekend. They've had a CD and a score to look at for a few weeks. And then it's sort of, wham, you've got to do it. And I think to be able to perform in a piece that complex and audibly and visually spectacular, but to feel quite comfortable doing it because you know that the line is a real singable, it's really singable and attainable. And I think that's so wonderful for community musicians. I know that a lot of your commissions and a lot of your writing has been for very highbrow organisations, BBC Singers and the like, all these Cambridge colleges. But it's lovely that your music transfers out into the community. I think that's what we find. And it's nice that obviously you've been heard so much, especially over the last few years, what with all the events going on in the royal family, and it's lovely that people have access to music that is probably thought of as being quite highbrow, but we know it's very attainable. So
well, that's really great to know, and I'm so interested in your Yale times. I was there, I think last year that Scholar again performed it for, I think they're doing a CD of it, by the way, but you were in it. But no, thanks so much. I mean, you're quite right. Have been the associate composer with the BBC Singers, and there I often think, well, I must use their incredible technical skill. It would be mad to ignore that. But I absolutely agree. I think there should be a way you can go as a composer where you write music that you're satisfied with, that you think this is interesting, this is a real imaginative thing I've done, but nevertheless, exactly what you said, that a group of occasional singers are not going to have a terrible time with it, or that they might be interested to perform it. I would say it's taken me many years to find a way of doing that. And I think we all know there's a lot of choral music which is almost too simple to sing or not challenging in some way, and somehow to find the way of combining interesting and possible to sing is not that easy. Takes I don't know, but it just is not that obvious.
Yeah, it takes a lifetime of work and honing your
That's it,
craft,
really.
doesn't it? Yeah.
And particularly of experience of choirs, which, as I say, I didn't really have until, later on in life, actually.
Yeah, just how sort of pick up and play the music is in a way, particularly with this piece, is just such a gift for a conductor.
Oh, good.
So you tell that during rehearsal, you just go, yes, it's great. When you feel the music is on your side rather than working against you.
Well, thank you so much. I think, again, I would look back to my background playing in orchestras and just, I think you just have to have the meter and the beats. They have to be there in a helpful place. And alas, so often with student composers, of course, they look at the most exciting scores, and we think the most exciting score of the last century, The Rite of Spring, the bar lines move every single bar, and that's fascinating. But this is a different situation, and what one wants is to transfer the excitement of The Rite of Spring into easily read bars. I think that's it.
Yeah,
I think our orchestra is probably going to have a fun time with this one on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. This has been so interesting, and I regret even more that I'm not going to come and join you. I'm chasing a deadline. I'm traveling quite a bit, and it's just not going to happen. I guess let's keep in touch in case something in the future happens. But really wish you, and everybody, of course, the very best of luck.
Do you have any sort of words of advice or a message of enthusiasm for the singers on Saturday? Because I'm sure they'll watch this.
Well, it's mainly thanks to them for doing what they're going to do. But really, in the spirit of what we've been talking about, don't worry about this piece. It will turn out all right. Just get singing. The mistake would be to be too careful. Just put it all out there, and that will be in the spirit of the composition.
That is perfect. That's wonderful.
Dangerous, but
oh no, we like a bit of danger, a bit of risk.
Okay, well, the absolute best to you all, and as I say, it would be lovely to hope we'll run into each other as I've just learned we did in Yale. That
There we are.
Again.
Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.